Hello Psion friends. Today we've got a Psion Series 3. This is a PDA from about 1991, so it's getting on a bit, and my one, it rattles a little bit depending on how hard you rattle it. It takes 2 AA batteries, and there's a bit of an issue with this particular one, but we'll get over that pretty quickly. We've got these little wings that pop out the side, which don't seem to serve any other function apart from concealing these parts. So we've got a backup battery there, and we've got what appears to be some sort of link cable connection there, and an extension slot. We can shut those up, and we've got power on the top there. I don't have an adapter for it, but we're going to use battery power, and to do that we're going to pop open the battery compartment, and unfortunately with this one we've got quite a bit of corrosion on some of the contacts, so certainly wouldn't recommend doing this generally, but I'm going to pop a couple of batteries in here with a tiny bit of foil pre-made to fit this particular part, so at least we can get this thing switched on. Okay, so we can even put the back on, which doesn't really seem to go on easily. It feels quite fragile, like the plastic it's old, and it feels like it's now very brittle. That's the sort of feel I've got for it. But if I open this slowly, and on the right hand side you can see I've got a bit of an issue here with the hinge, but it still pretty much works. This is the 128k RAM version, which is what it says down here. A 16-bit CPU multitasking operating system. What a beast! What a beast! It's got that sort of strange hinging that the later Psion Revo has, and in terms of comparison for size, we've got a much bigger screen on the Revo and a completely different keyboard. And this has got a lot of spaces between the keys, whereas these are all bunched together. There's not a lot of travel in these keys, but there is some in these, so I think the keyboard's a little bit better on this old one. Let's switch it on and see what we can get this thing to do. So this is the first screen you're greeted with when you turn it on. There's no touch screen on this, or input for a stylus or anything like that, so everything you have to do through the keyboard, but that's not too big an issue. So because the battery's completely dead, it hasn't saved anything here, and this is what it looks like when you first fire it up. Okay, this is the main screen that you get to, and we've got these buttons along the bottom here, which is sort of shortcuts to all of the different applications on here. So this is sort of like your desktop, which Psion like to call system, and they persist that whole system approach here too on the Revo. So, you know, sticking to their guns. Right, let's dive into some of these and see what we've got. Data. Everyone likes a bit of data. So this is like an address book from what I can gather. So if I start entering information here, tippy tap tap, and then I can move around with the cursor keys and enter telephone numbers and addresses and things like that, and then I hit tab, and that saves the entry. And then with the menu button I can search within this address book that I've created, but you're not limited to just one data file. You can create new ones. Typing is very difficult when you can't see what you're doing. You can create new data files, so I suppose you could have one for contacts for selling your bathrooms, and one for contacts for selling your kitchens. I mean, I can only imagine these were used by businessmen, traveling businessmen on the move. So on the screen here, you can always see in the bottom right hand corner the little clock and the day and the date. So we'll get onto date and time in a second, but that is essentially data, and you can search for entries and things like that, or update things. So that one's pretty straightforward. And now you might be able to see here, that's Hecky is the one I just created, so then it's sort of saving each entry. So we'll show you how that works with the other items as well. So let's create a Word document. Hello, I am a Psion. I mean, it's a difficult word to pronounce, isn't it, Psion? Again, if we go to the menu, this is really more of a notepad from what I can gather, although there are some paragraph styles that you can set for fonts and things like that in here. And then in styles, you can put in different things, but it's not particularly user-friendly there. So let's save that file. And we'll call it Go. And we do have the option for different file types, so you can save things as text and normal. So I imagine text has no formatting, but normal is their sort of standard formatting maneuver. And then if I go back to system, updating list, there it is now, it's in the list there, Go. So you can access all of your files here. I'm not quite sure what happens when you go down a little bit further and you start to overwrite the fancy logo they've got here. But never mind that. Okay, right, so here's the agenda. What's on the agenda today? Absolutely nothing. I always think it's interesting with these devices, what default date they get set to. So this one is 3rd of September 1991, and given that this actually came out in 1991, you know, it kind of all checks out. Let's see if we can actually, let's set the time first so we can be a bit more realistic. If I go in here, time and date, perfect. Now we can actually set what the day is. So 08/05, hoping this is in UK format, given that I think this is a UK company. 2022. Okay. And then when I go back to the agenda, I'm still back in 1991. So we'd have to really skip forward, but there's a way to do that. Jump to date. I guess we could do that. Let's try that out. Yeah, that is the date I want to jump to, actually. Okay, cool. Now we're on that day. Let's put a new appointment in. See badgers. And we hit enter, and then you can set specific things to do with the start time and end time and things like that. Perfect. Let's put that in. There it is. It's in my little list. And that way you can keep track of all those appointments. We've also got a to-do list here. If I keep tapping the agenda button, the other ones I'm not sure have secondary functions when you press them. Not really, but I guess the agenda has to switch between a few different modes. Let's pop in an alarm on here so we can hear what that sounds like. And there are a couple of different ringtones or alarm tones on here. We've got chimes and we've got rings. Wow. Let's try chimes first. So we've set that. That'll go off in about 30 seconds. And then if we head over to world, this is very much that same James Bond map interface on a wall with a flashing target in the middle of it, as if we're going to attack that nation. Okay, let's keep tapping and randomly pick one. It's just catching up with my button presses there. Kazakhstan. No, let's not attack Kazakhstan. We'll just leave everything as they are. But hey, look, we've got a sunrise and a sunset time that it's calculating here. It's telling me the distance in miles. I'm not quite sure what method it's using for that. And here we go. Here's the alarm going off. Well, that to me sounds like an ice cream van or something like that. So let's turn that off. Brilliant. What a great function. We've obviously got your standard calculator, so we can do that, but there's no numeric pad on the keyboard, so you'd have to just type these numbers in on the top row, which is not amazingly convenient, but it does have some other features here, so powers and trigonometry and sort of you know, all of the different functions you'd expect from a simple scientific calculator. So you could measure that kitchen floor when you're figuring out tiles, or something like that. And then the final entry we've got here is OPL, which is, it says program on it. I have to just press it quite hard to make it do anything. and even then I have to press enter. Okay, and then we're presented with essentially the programming interface. Now, it starts with proc and end p. That's got to be end program, hasn't it? And I've done a bit of programming before. It's not amazingly intuitive, so I've had to look up some instructions to do this. So let's call this program Hello Friends. Sounds good. And then we're gonna print. Hi there. Always very difficult to find the actual keys. Let's put a space in there in case it doesn't like it. And then we'll say pause for say 40 milliseconds. Not seconds. And then what we need to do here is we can't just run it straight away. It won't let you do that. You have to translate it, which I guess is like compiling it. Name too long. Okay, right. Well, maybe we can have hello friend instead. Let's see whether it likes that, or maybe it's too long. No, it's still too long. Let's call it. Oh, I've accidentally hit the help button there. If I press escape, that'll make that disappear. So there's a little help button down here. Let's just, but it's quite easy to knock it. It appears. Right, now let's go into the menu. Let's translate that. Okay, it's worked. Now it's asking me if I want to run the program. If I press Y, there it goes. It says hi there. Brilliant. All in all, given that this device was about £180 when it first came out for this model, the 128k RAM version, I mean, it's an organiser. I'll say that about it. It's got a pretty decent keyboard, and it would do the job, I guess. Oh, and of course, if I close it and it doesn't break, the whole thing will fit in your pocket. Amazing. There you go. That's the Psion Series 3.